The internet's favorite target. A young woman, rich, successful, conventionally beautiful. There are heaps of support for her, but also an enormous, undeniable amount of hate. You start to notice a pattern. The type of hate that these women experience is different to that of their male counterparts. She's a narcissist while he's confident. She's easy while he's a player, desired by many women. It is undeniable that the policing of women is very prevalent within our society. But when exactly did this practice begin? Let's look at the origins of policing women, starting at 2400 BC. This is when the 𝐦𝐻𝐬𝐢 and 𝐦𝐻𝐬𝐜 cones were written. These artifacts had the earliest written social reforms on them. One of the statements reads, "A woman who speaks out of turn to a man will have her teeth smashed by a burnt brick." Much later, in 16th century England, women who gossiped, nagged, or challenged societal norms were physically muzzled using a device called a scold's bridle. The muzzle not only silenced them, but it also acted as a public humiliation tool. I'm sure you're noticing the theme here. Women speaking up was disliked, and it was met with the consequence of physical violence. Nowadays, social media plays a vital role in silencing women. Today, we are going to talk about how women in the public eye are received by others. I'm a psychology student, so I'm going to use some psychological theory to explain this, but I'm no expert. This is simply a video essay. Chapter 1: The Wizard Liz. The Wizard Liz is an influencer who has built a platform on offering advice to other women. She has amassed millions of followers across all her platforms, and some women credit her content with increasing their self-confidence. I personally really used to enjoy her content, especially when she was starting out. It was like listening to an older sister give you some advice. However, currently, the Wizard Liz is facing criticism regarding the situation between her and the father of her child. Given that there is a court case between them and the files are publicly available for anyone to read, it's understandable why people would want to talk about the case and share their opinions on it. But strangely, alongside commentary on the legal case, I've noticed a lot of online discourse about her looks, age, and desirability. The Wizard Liz's speaking has been described as annoying or too loud. We may not realize it, but comments like these are a direct call asking women to quiet down. Here, a woman is discouraged from vocalizing her opinions. Now, when you can no longer judge someone for their speak, what is there left to judge? If you guessed appearance, you're right. In 1997, psychologists Barbara Fredrickson and Tommy Ann Roberts explored the consequences of normalizing the sexualization of women. They then posited objectification theory. The theory states that women internalize the sexualized lens through which society sees us. Quote, "This perspective on self can lead to habitual body monitoring, which, in turn, can increase women's opportunities for shame and anxiety. For example, when a woman is criticized for gaining weight, this may induce feelings of shame within her. After repeated comments about her weight, she may begin to feel as though she's being watched and evaluated. One of the most common reactions to shame is to socially withdraw. She may begin to participate less, to cover more of herself, to draw less attention. Recently, some creators have pointed out a pattern that some female public figures have gotten physically smaller, but this shrinking doesn't necessarily stop with their bodies. Some female celebrities, who were previously known for their vibrant personalities, have noticeably been speaking less and less in interviews. This may be a consequence of the backlash that they received for displaying their exuberant behavior. After facing this level of criticism, it's not difficult to understand why a woman would hesitate to reveal more of herself. Marina McBain made a powerful video essay on this topic, which I recommend watching. The Wizard Liz's situation highlights our tendency as a society to fixate on a woman's appearance and morality rather than her achievements or actions. While I do not personally support some of her actions, I am relieved to see that she hasn't shrunk herself despite the massive amount of negativity she's gotten online. I've seen this happen with some of my favorite actresses and singers growing up, where they just got more quiet over time. So even though Liz is very controversial, it is refreshing to see her appear confidently and share her opinions comfortably. This is something I wish that women were allowed to do more often. We've discussed what happens when a woman is punished for her appearance and her speech, but what exactly happens when a woman decides to change her appearance? Chapter 2: Clara 𝐦𝐬𝐜. Clara 𝐦𝐬𝐜 is an influencer particularly known for her videos about body positivity. She talked about how a smaller chest and hairy legs are completely natural attributes to the human body. body. Many people felt validated through the messages that she conveys in her content. So when Clara 𝐬𝐤 decided to get breast implants, this prompted a massive discussion online. Some of the outrage was because 𝐬𝐤 had created a platform on loving her own body only to surgically alter it. Some people were convinced that she was a hypocrite and was now therefore labeled as a bad role model. In 1997, psychologists Susan Flick and Peter Glick, that is not their names, bro. In 1997, psychologists Peter Glick and Susan Fisk argued that sexism can exist in two forms: benevolent and hostile. Benevolent sexism can appear like it's protecting women, but in actuality, it is another way to restrict them. Through depicting women as pure, fragile individuals who require protection, we can contribute to reinforcing traditional gender roles and maintaining patriarchal standards. Concerns about Clara 𝐬𝐤's appearance change can seem genuine on the surface, but the care becomes somewhat redundant when she herself states that she is happy with her decision. At what point does genuine care turn into regulating what a woman is allowed to change about herself? 𝐬𝐤 posted this statement regarding the situation.
Wasn't your account about body positivity? Why did you get work done on your chest? No hate, just wondering. I appreciate the no hate part. I think a lot of people don't really understand, and I could understand why they don't understand. But honestly, it's just about me wanting to embrace a new chapter of my life. And I don't know, I feel like every time I say this, people like mock me for saying it. But honestly, it's a way for me to have fun with my appearance and with the life I want to live.
It is worth noting that when you are in the influencing space, there is a pressure to change parts of yourself, particularly your looks.
A real conversation I had with somebody in LA. Okay, it was awkward. We were at an event and we haven't talked to each other. I don't even know this girl's name. And to break the ice, she goes, "Have you ever gotten lip filler before?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Have you gotten any work done before?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, like girl to girl, like just because I've had work done, like I can see what would look good on somebody, and like girl, like you're cute, like you're like so cute, like you're like, oh my gosh, I want to squeeze your cheeks, cute, but like you'll be hot, like you'll be sexy if you like, I'm like if you got some filler up here and like if you made your lips bigger."
After 6 years in content creation, 6 years of having your looks constantly commented on, of likely comparing yourself to your peers in your line of work, after all of this, you may feel a desire to get cosmetic enhancements. I personally don't see the issue with her getting the surgery. It obviously was not a spontaneous decision. She's thought about this, she's come to the conclusion to do it, and I also don't really view her as this unanimous, perfect role model. I don't think anyone is that. I honestly do not particularly care about what she does to her own body. Anyway, recently I've been seeing videos and articles criticizing the podcast hosts Stephen Bartlett and 𝐦𝐿𝐤. Bartlett has undergone criticism for not properly challenging or fact-checking his guests when they come onto his podcast, even when his guests sometimes provide alarming health advice. Meanwhile, 𝐦𝐿𝐤 is receiving backlash for allegedly fabricating his life story. It is interesting to see that when these two public figures receive backlash, they are held accountable for their actions and their credibility, not their morality. The statement of being a bad role model is hardly used here. In 2009, psychologists Kurt Gray and Daniel 𝐦𝐿𝐤 published a paper on moral typecasting. This is when we are faced with a moral situation and we put people into two categories. There are the moral agents and the moral patients. Moral agents are the ones who do right or wrong actions, whereas moral patients are the ones who have right or wrong done to them. Women tend to be seen as moral patients, whereas men are seen as moral agents. People ask whether Bartlett was responsible for platforming guests who spread misinformation. They question whether 𝐦𝐿𝐤 was truthful about his past. Here, their criticism is attached to what they did, not their morality. When we compare this to the way that women are discussed online, they are frequently put into different archetypes to men. We have the mean girl, the gold digger, the homewrecker, whereas with men we have the alpha male and crypto bro. When women are categorized as the moral patient, they are seen through a moral lens. The discussion begins to shift from what she did to who this makes her as a person. At some point, it became the norm for a woman's weight to make a public headline, for an appearance change to be global news. Maybe we can't change the way that women are perceived and talked about on an international scale, but we can change the language that we use in our daily lives. Anyways, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.